John 4. Jesus realized that the Pharisees were keeping count of the baptisms that he and John performed, although his disciples, not Jesus, did the actual baptizing. They had posted the score that Jesus was ahead, turning him and John into rivals in the eyes of the people. So Jesus left the Judean countryside and went back to Galilee. To get there, he had to pass through Samaria. He came into Sychar, a Samaritan village that bordered the field Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was still there. Jesus, worn out by the trip, sat down at the well. It was noon. A woman, a Samaritan, came to draw water. Jesus said, "Would you give me a drink of water?" His disciples had gone to the village to buy food for lunch. The Samaritan woman, taken aback, asked, "How come you, a Jew, are asking me, a Samaritan woman, for a drink?" Jews in those days wouldn't be caught dead talking to Samaritans. Jesus answered, "If you knew the generosity of God and who I am, you would be asking me for a drink, and I would give you fresh, living water." The woman said, "Sir, you don't even have a bucket to draw with, and this well is deep. So how are you going to get this living water? Are you a better man than our ancestor Jacob, who dug this well and drank from it, he and his sons and livestock, and passed it down to us?" Jesus said, "Everyone who drinks this water will get thirsty again and again. Anyone who drinks the water I give will never thirst, not ever. The water I give will be an artesian spring within, gushing fountains of endless life." The woman said, "Sir, please give me this water so I won't ever get thirsty, won't have to come back to this well again." He said, "Go call your husband and then come back." "I have no husband," she said. And that's nicely put. "I have no husband. You've had 5 husbands, and the man you're living with now isn't even your husband. You spoke the truth there, sure enough." "Oh, so you're a prophet. Well, tell me this. Our ancestors worshiped God at this mountain, but you Jews insist that Jerusalem is the only place for worship, right? Believe me, woman, the time is coming when you Samaritans will worship the Father neither here at this mountain nor there in Jerusalem. You worship guessing in the dark. We Jews worship in the clear light of day. God's way of salvation is made available through the Jews, but the time is coming, it has in fact come, when what you're called will not matter and where you go to worship will not matter. It is who you are and the way that you live that count before God. Your worship must engage your spirit in the pursuit of truth. That's the kind of people the Father is looking out for, those who are simply and honestly themselves before Him in their worship. God is sheer being itself, spirit. Those who worship Him must do it out of their very being, their spirits, their true selves in adoration. The woman said, "I don't know about that. I do know that the Messiah is coming, and when he arrives, we'll get the whole story." "I am he," said Jesus. "You don't have to wait any longer or look any further." Just then, his disciples came back. They were shocked. They couldn't believe he was talking with that kind of woman. No one said what they were all thinking, but their faces showed it. The woman took the hint and left. In her confusion, she left her water pot. Back in the village, she told the people, "Come and see a man who knew all about the things I did, who knows me inside and out. Do you think this could be the Messiah?" And they went out to see for themselves. Many of the Samaritans from that village committed themselves to him because of the woman's witness. "He knew all about the things I did. He knows me inside and out." They asked him to stay on, so Jesus stayed 2 days, and a lot more people entrusted their lives to him when they heard what he had to say. They said to the woman, "We're no longer taking this on your say-so. We've heard it for ourselves and know it for sure. He is the Savior of the world." This is a fascinating portion of John's gospel. And for those of us that have been in church for any length of time, we know that this passage is plumbed because of Jesus' interaction with the woman. There is much about their banter, their back and forth, that is illuminating about the new dispensation that Jesus was setting up. But more to that, there is much to be learned from the fact that a religious leader was talking to a woman, more to it, this kind of woman. But I'm not going to talk about that today, because I feel that the thing that is missed every time I've heard people speak about this message is the response of the woman to the events. All too often, in Jesus' interactions with people, and no matter how paradigm-busting those interactions were, they always end up with a person walking off, and that's the last time we hear of them. But this woman is different. She went to her village and told the people about Jesus. Something about her encounter with Christ was so transformative to this woman that this woman, who was a social outcast, overcame her status long enough to be a messenger for him. You know, this 5-husband woman living with a man who wasn't her husband, this Samaritan woman from an ethnic group that was considered by the Jews to be subhuman, this woman who had no status in society because she was the wrong gender, somehow overcame all these obstacles and all these barriers long enough to be a witness for Christ in her village. And the really cool thing is that people came in droves to check him out. They could have ignored her and told her to be quiet, but they didn't. Somehow, she was able to turn her whole village out to see who Jesus was and to listen to his message. One of my best friends here in Ottawa is my buddy, Don. And Don was the best man at my wedding. He's this big guy, and he has a really big personality. And he has the most diverse group of friends I have ever seen. His wife, Natalie, and their daughter, Jade, are very special to me. I love them very much. They're a very unique family. And when I met them 13 years ago, they used to have a party every Sunday afternoon after church at his home, and anybody who wanted to come could come. And they invited me out to one of these Sunday afternoon things, and they quickly became the highlight of my week because I loved being around those people. It was a diverse group of people, and all of them, each and every one of them, myself included, thought of Don and Nat as their best friends. Don has a way with people that just fascinates me. If he wants to do something, he puts it out to his group of friends, and everybody just loves the suggestion and jumps on board with it. I've been to clubs and festivals and holidays and shopping trips with him. And there's always a group of about 10 or 15 of us hanging out with him and his wife because they have a way with people that's just astonishing. When they make an invitation, people respond to it in a way that just boggles my mind. One of the things that Dawn introduced me to is the Montreal Jazz Festival. I love jazz. Our family goes every year. It's awesome. There's such an incredible vibe about Montreal during the Jazz Festival. And even my wife, who's not really into jazz, doesn't care because the whole experience is just exciting and rewarding. And you know, the best thing about the Montreal Jazz Festival is that it is free, 100%. And it lasts 3 weeks. Now, over the past few years, I haven't been able to sync up with Don and his group when they go down. So Evelyn and I have tried to create our own group by inviting people to go with us. And it has become painfully apparent to me that people will not accept our invitation. For some reason, when Dawn makes the invitation, people say, "Sure, I'll go." On the other hand, when I make the invitation, people come up with every excuse in the book not to go. And even when we promise to drive them down and cover the cost of the Airbnb, it seems like there is nothing that we can get anybody to come except for Marion and her sister to accept our jazz festival invitation. So last year, after our umpteenth round of refusals, we just gave up. But I don't think our experience is unique. Some of you know what I'm talking about. You have a friend or two that everybody just seems to respond to. Most of the time, people who are like that don't even know that they're like that. But we who are their friends, we know exactly who they are. And do you know what I've come to realize? Those kinds of people that can invite anyone to come along are not only like my friend Don. Don is a flaming extrovert. He's a big personality. He can strike up a conversation with anyone. But this past July, I met an older woman. She's painfully shy. She's soft-spoken, she's very introverted. But every time she asks someone to go along with her or go on an adventure with her or give over their lives to a multi-year project, they say yes. It's very fascinating. This persuasive and motivational ability is not just the sole purview of super extroverted people. In fact, there are a great many people who are persuasive and motivational in ways that are invisible to people in our celebrity-obsessed culture. And it is easy to get distracted by the big personalities and forget that there are people who do not like the limelight, but they can be just as persuasive and motivational. And you might be one of them. If you think back to the story that we opened up with, you would not think that the most persuasive person in this story would be this woman. This 5-husband woman? This social outcast woman? No. She's not the kind of person we would cast in this role, and yet here she is, turning the whole village out. See the man who knew about all the things I did, who knows me inside and out. Wow. The most unlikely person is turning the whole village out. The Bible has a word that it uses for people like these. You know, these people who easily bring people along without even knowing it. These people who are inspirational and motivational in overt and covert ways. These people that can recruit you to a cause even when you did not realize that you were going to be a part of it initially. These people are called evangelists. They say, hey, would you like to join the party? And you find yourself saying, yeah, sure. They say, would you like to check out this cool event with me? And you find yourself going along even though you might have been skeptical at the outset. They say, hey, you should try this new product I've been using. And you find yourself saying, yeah, sure, I'll give it a go. For each of these people, God has given them a special light. It's an attractional light. And even for people like this woman in John 4, the fact of the matter is that they're able to connect us, recruit us, and motivate us to do things that we would have never considered on our own. And you know, the funniest thing with these people, most of them don't even know that they're like this. Chances are, you were just like this, sitting here in this room or watching me online, and you have no idea that this is your unique design. The word evangelist or evangelism is traditionally thought of as creating converts. But in truth, being an evangelist or the act of evangelism is simply saying, hey, do you want to check out this really cool thing with me? Evangelism is more about the invitation than the conversion. Evangelists, therefore, are great at making invitations that people respond to. And this is what some of you are good at. This is what some of you listening to me online are good at. Making an invitation and having people respond to it. This is our third week walking through the missing pieces theme. And as I said in the first message in this series, it is important that you understand the limitations of your leader. It is important that you understand the limitations of your leader. During our discussion a couple of weeks ago, it was after the message, I mentioned the fact that every time I've asked somebody to increase their participation on one of my teams, or I've asked them to step up and apply themselves, they usually run as far and as fast as possible in the opposite direction. Now, I know for a fact that that is not the universal reaction to a challenge. In fact, I've seen a great many of my friends have the exact opposite reaction. Many of my friends are able to get their teams to make astonishing sacrifices of time and finances in ways that just blow my mind. And for some reason, no matter how much I smile or make the pitch, my invitation scares people instead of motivating them. I don't know why. And, you know, I grew up in Uganda. Uganda is a very social country, very socially integrated country. And you get groomed and socialized from very early on to talk to everybody and make conversations with everybody, whether you're an introvert or not. It is expected of you. So I can strike up a conversation with anybody in any situation. It was the way that I was nurtured. I can invite people to anything that I think might interest them. And I understand that one of my functions as a leader is to be a connector and a recruiter and to attempt to be persuasive or motivational. But those of you that know me well know that even though I do these things, I'm not very good at them. And over the years, as I wrestled with it, the advice that I was given was I needed to change the pitch. I needed to smile more. I needed to be more persuasive. I needed to be less aggressive or more aggressive. And as time has gone on, I've come to realize something crucial. I'm not a great recruiter. What I am good at is guarding the institution, but I'm not very good at recruiting for it. What I'm very good at is making sure that a cause remains honest, but I'm not very good at recruiting for the cause. I'm very good at making sure that we make it to the end of our journey. If you ever drive with me on a long journey, it's like, let's go. You don't get to pee in this car. But I'm not very good at recruiting for the journey. I'm not too scared to ask, but I've come to see that the results speak for themselves. And I used to beat myself up about it. I've sat under coaches and all sorts of stuff and read books, and I've not seen much appreciable change until I came to realize that this is a limitation for me. This is a limitation for me. I'm good at certain things. Other people are great at things that I could never do. And that's good. That's good. Therefore, as the leader of Pivot 613, if I alone are tasked with the job of recruiting other people or inviting other people to come along, we will never get where we think we should go at the pace that we think we should be doing it. Now, I'm not saying I'm absolutely horrendous about it. I can recruit. Not well, I can. Hey, the reason we're here is because I recruited some people. But if we're being honest, I'm not great at it. This is a missing piece at Pivot 613. You see, this Missing Pieces series is about two critical things. It is about understanding the limitations of your leader, but also, and more importantly, it is about finding out who you are and your uniqueness. Because your uniqueness is God's perfect design for you that He would like to use in every aspect of your life. Some of you are like me. You are idealists. You question the status quo. Some of you are like the people we talked about last week. You are entrepreneurial. You see opportunities where other people see obstacles. Some of you are like the people we've talked about today. You are unassumingly persuasive and motivational. And it has nothing to do with personality. It's just the way God wired you. And you get people to join your causes without being overbearing or scary. Our world needs people like you. Social justice causes gain momentum because of you. People have experiences they could have never had because of you. People change their lives because of you. People go to churches and find Jesus because of your invitation. God has uniquely gifted you to motivate people to change their lives, and chances are you did not even know that that was your gift. Here at Pivot 613, you are our missing pieces. The message of grace has changed my life. It has made me a less judgmental person. It has made me a free and light person. As a matter of fact, I have come to believe that this freedom and lightness is a direct consequence of following Jesus. If you follow Jesus and you become more judgmental, there is a problem. You've missed something critical. Because following Jesus makes you less judgmental, and you find a freedom and lightness in His grace. I have the kind of personality that can become very judgmental and litigious. But somehow, God has removed that ugliness from my heart. I don't live with it anymore. And so, like the Samaritan woman, I will always be running out into my village to tell Jesus about people because, well, he is awesome and he has changed me more than I think I could have ever imagined. And I will do so whether or not I come across as a persuasive person, because my hope is that as I share that Christ can transform any life, I will come across a persuasive person who will help me tell this story even better. My hope is that on an afternoon like this, one of you guys will go, hey, I need to invite so-and-so to hear about this. My hope is that as we continue to talk about these themes, you will find what I have found, and you will run out into your villages and invite people to join us on the journey, because each one of you is God's missing piece. And through you, God wants to bring his message of love and grace to the world. So as I have done every week in this series, and I will do it one more time next week, I would like to invite you off the sidelines. If you are encountering the message of Christ here at Pivot 613, if you love that we are an accepting church where there is no judgment, if you appreciate our diversity, our laid-back format, our simplicity, any of the things that we love here, if you find that your life is better because of the message of grace and love, go ahead and risk a little for this transformative thing. Make an invitation and see what happens. See, I believe in you guys. I really do. And I cannot wait to see how God is going to use each one of you. Amen.